Hello everyone, it's Melanie here with Vintage Hill Studio. I'm so glad you dropped in today. I had a fabulous find with a card that I am going to make using an upcycled coaster. These are paperboard coasters that I found at a garage sale, and it's a promotional for Boys Town. It was a kind of a thank you gift. So upcycling is to take an unused item, create something new from it in its current state. So upcycling can be highly creative and used with a variety of materials and techniques to give an object a second life and new function, and that's what I'm doing with these coasters and this handmade card. They're just beautiful coasters. This is the one I'm going to work with first. It is printed on both sides, and I'm going to use some simple papers to back it, and I'll be using these Sizzix square dies. So let's get started. Just look at the beauty of these coasters. I couldn't let them sit there at the garage sale. They'd already been cut apart for some reason from the promotional material, but there was enough left for me to tell where they came from and what they were for. So you can see I'm going to simply use these dies to cut a frame around that square, and I'll show you how I'm going to make this card work. This beautiful paper is one of the current items that you could order way back in the day in a pack of papers, and I thought it would be perfect with that coaster. And then I'm going to back that with just a simple burlap, and also use this burlap paper as the frame around my coasters. So I'll start with a 5x7 inch card, and I also went ahead and cut my burlap mat, which is 4 7/8 by 6 7/8. That will go right here. And then the flower mat was cut at 4.5 by 6.5. All of these dimensions can be found on my card blog at vintagehillstudio.com, and I would really love it if you would subscribe and follow me. So this is kind of the idea I had for the card. And you can see I've already pre-cut those frames out of burlap that will go around this. And this will be kind of self-framing on the front, meaning that a little bit of the coaster will show around the edges, and that's just fine. So I'll bring over one of my favorite tools right here. The silicone mat is actually for a microwave. I found it at a big box store. But as you can see, as I'm running the adhesive around my mat, I get a little bit close to the edges, which I need to do, and it goes over on my mat, but none of my paper will stick to that silicone mat. So that's why I love it so much. Now I'm taking a little piece of raffia. I thought that would look a bit organic with the papers that I chose, and I'm going to simply run a little band around the front side of my card. So I'll take that around back and just adhere it to the back with over the adhesive that I've already applied. Give that a quick once over so that it will stick to my card. Now here's where I made a mistake. I should have completely glued this mat over the burlap mat, and I will tell you why. Because my next step will be to cut a window in only the front side of this card, because I want to completely utilize that beautiful coaster front and back, and in order to do that I had planned on cutting a window so that you could see both sides, which I will do. I will still cut that window through the card front using that die right there. And if I had completely glued that mat down, I would be in better shape after I cut this window. So what happened when I used the adhesive there is it's going to adhere everywhere adhesive, which is not inclusive of the window that I'm going to make here. In other words, if I had used my liquid glue, when I cut this window out, all the seams from that cut would be secured. So I just added a little washi tape to hold that in place and ran it through my Sizzix Big Shot die cutting machine, which cut that window. And you could see I was careful to place my cutting plate between the layers of my card because I don't want to cut through my whole card. So now with the window, I'll be able to see the front and the back of the coaster. So that's the idea. Now I will go ahead and adhere the coaster to my card front, and I can go right around the perimeter of this coaster, I can see that's going to be perfect for the window that I cut out, which is why you don't want to use too big of a die for this size coaster. I need it to support it with something, and I'm going to support the edges with that front of my card. And there we go. Okay, so my next step is to add those burlap frames, and I'll get those put on very quickly. This is why I cut 2 frames, one for the front of my card and the second one for the inside of my card. Just lends great continuity to the whole look of the card. Alright, now this doesn't go completely over the edges of my coaster, but that doesn't bother me because again it looks like it's self-framed with a little bit of the ecru showing on the outer edge of my burlap frame. Then on the inside, this one of course goes perfectly because this is the outside perimeter of that window that I cut with the other Sizzix die. Get that adhered very quickly. And that completes the card right there. So here is my finished card. A little closer look on that. Add a little sentiment on the inside with an embossing folder also. And here is my lined envelope. I encourage you to go see my other YouTube videos where I show you how to make an easy peasy lined envelope using no dies or special measurements. They're so easy to make and such a nice finishing touch to your handmade cards. I'm so glad you joined me today. I hope you will take a second look at any items that you might be able to upcycle for your cards and give it a try. It's very rewarding and I think you'll be glad with the outcome. Happy crafting, everyone!